How much you need to budget for ads as a tax planner, estate planner, and financial advisor. So if you want to make some money, if you're ready to invest in your business and grow it, or like you want to start investing in paid traffic, or you already have a campaign, you've tested it, but you want to double down, getting more success, right? You want to scale it up, then this video is 100% for you. So first of all, I want to start with, this is how you have to think about ads in general, right? Like this is super important, because budget is already the wrong word. Ads are not a budget, ads are an investment, right? Like that's super important, because like when you have expense, it's not an expense in a sense, right? Like it's something that you invest in, but like you would not go into the stock market, you would not go investing into the S&P and be like, okay, what's my budget for that? It's more like, okay, how much do I invest in that? And like, so you have to already change the frame around it, because at the end of the day, I think like for any business owner out there, ads and paid advertising is probably the best investment you can make with your money, as long as you have the bandwidth to actually fulfill on your offer, right? Like sure, you want to have a little bit of a rainy day fund, you maybe want to have like some basic investments first, but like I think still paid ads, like where else can you go except if you want to gamble on crypto and lose all your money? Where else can you go and just like double the amount of money that you make, triple, 5 times within like a month or so, right? Like that's just like 30 to 60 days is all it takes to grow your money with advertising. Like where else would you get such returns? I think that's unheard of, but still a lot of people think about it in terms of an expense, in terms of budget, right? I think that's a wrong approach. You are expecting a return, therefore it is an investment. Now you're gonna logically ask yourself, well, okay, it's an investment, but how much return can I expect? How much return can you expect? And the correct answer here is, without bullshitting you, it depends. Like according to studies and data, the average return on ad spend, so ROAS, that's a word that you need to familiarize yourself with, across all industries is about 2.8 to 1. Right? Like this is a little bit older, so I think it's probably going to be the average is going to be about 2, right? So that means for every dollar you spend, you will make $2.87. Now that's not profit, that's just revenue, right? And this is also what I see in my experience, right? Like on average, people, like who know what they're doing, they make between 3 and 6, right? Like there are some outliers where you can make 10, but normally I think 3 to 6, right around 5 is super realistic. And the more you spend, that's obviously going to decrease, right? Like you cannot expect to spend like $10 million of ads a month and make like, 100 million, right? Like that's just normally not how it goes, right? Like there's some outliers to that, right? Like always take this with a grain of salt, but normally 3 to 5x ROAS, right? And I would actually calculate, right? Like you need to now, if you want to know like what is your investment going to be, what is your budget going to be, you need to calculate a best case scenario, then a base case scenario, and also a worst case scenario. That's super important. Like we want to actually think about the worst case first. So I would actually calculate a 2x, a 3x, and a 5x, right? That's kind of like realistic what you can expect, especially if you don't 100% know every ins and out in what you're doing. And so for the simplicity of it, let's say you start, you sell a service for like 5,000, right? Like you obviously need to insert your price here. And then you would need to spend a 2x, 3x, 5x. You would need to spend either 2,500, 1,607, or 1,000 to acquire a customer, right? Now you want to take the worst case scenario first, and that's the one you're going to calculate with, right? Like you want to take the worst case scenario and ask yourself, am I even profitable in the worst case scenario? If you're not profitable in the worst case scenario, you're going to have a lot of pressure to actually reach, like really high numbers, right? Like let's say you're not profitable unless you make like 4x your money, right? Like you're going to need a decent marketer, or you're going to need to know what you're doing to make 4x your money, especially on the front end, right? So you got to have a profitability calculation. This is what a lot of, like a lot of marketers or freelancers are going to tell you, yeah, we're going to make your money, whatever, right? Like you need to actually mathematically map it out. You need to calculate first if this is even, profitable for you, right? Like, so ask yourself, am I profitable in the worst case scenario? If the answer is yes, then you're good, right? Because you're going to make money anyway, right? Like whatever results you're going to get, you're going to make money. And the more you make, the more profit you're going to make. If not, you need to adapt your offer, right? I've talked about offers before. I'm going to link a couple videos. You need to, add value to your offer and, increase the worth of your offer. So let's say, you're not profitable at 5. Like the question becomes, how can you make it 7? How can you make it 8? How can you make it, 12,000? And that can also be like lifetime value, right? Like you need to think about, if I make, $1,000 a month and somebody on average stays for 6 months, right? That's going to be 60,000, right? Or if it stays for 12, 12,000 and stuff like that. Make people stay longer, make people spend more money, right? And then you want to ask yourself, how many new customers do I want each month, right? Like it's very simple. You have a worst case scenario, a base case scenario, and a best case scenario. Now, you want to take the worst case scenario again, right? I think this is the worst case numbers. You always want to calculate with the worst case, and then you adjust your investing accordingly, right? If you want 1 customer every month on your $5,000 product, and obviously you need to insert your numbers here, right? You will spend $83 a day. Now, normally this is better than what I'm just saying here. It's just to exemplify what you're gonna get. Like you want to calculate with the worst case scenario. That's absolutely like whatever you have, like calculate with worst case, make it profitable at the worst case, and then go into and achieve a best case, right? That's what I'm saying. Like if you want 2 new customers, $160 a day, right? Like that's just a day budget, right? And then you can pretty much, think about, okay, I'm going to spend about $2,500 to acquire a customer, right? And then you make good ads, you make a good funnel, you make a good offer, you're only spending $167. Then you adjust your numbers, right? Like you go back after 1 month, you go like, okay, well, I've spent, $1,667, right? Now, let's say you spend about $3,500, right? Like you have to adjust your numbers, right? Like you have to go back. You have to probably spend a month of testing if you're not working with somebody who already has the numbers for you, right? Like you need to go back and then adjust your numbers, right? I suggest spending no less than $100 a day for a testing budget, right? Because normally with $3,000, you're going to get a conversion, whatever price you charge, right? But if you are profitable in the worst case scenario, like, let me ask you, what are you waiting for? Why not jump into this immediately, right? You're in essence creating a money printer machine that will feed you new clients forever, right? Like once you crack this, once you are profitable and once you've proven that scenario, you can just pump as much money as you can into the system, as much as it can handle. And then, you will make money. Now, how to influence ROAS positively, right? Like return on ad spend. Now, obviously you want to have much more of a 5 to 6 to 10 return on ad spend rather than only making twice your money, right? Like to, obviously increase profitability, make more money. So how do you get there? First of all, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but this is a result that we recently achieved, right? So we made about a 4.8 on a $350,000 spent. So that's a good amount of money, right? So 5x returns is nothing unheard of for me. So if you want to work with somebody who gets you a good realistic return, your financial tax planner, estate planner, in that kind of like money-making space, then, you reach out to us. The link is below. Now, a couple of things that you can do if you, choose to, try it on your own, or if you just want to, listen to a couple more videos, implement some stuff before you actually reach out. So first of all, before you focus on ads, fancy tactics and everything, focus first on creating more value rather than increasing advertising costs, right? Like advertising costs are only going to go up from here. This is super important. And it's way easier to actually create a better product that delivers more value to your customer and ever increases the lifetime value of your customer than decreasing the advertising cost, right? Like it's not going to get less expensive, right? There might be a platform, like for a couple of years, this was TikTok, but once it gets saturated, the prices are the same and they're only going up. More businesses are starting to advertise online. Everything gets more expensive. So it's actually up to you to create more value to be able to afford advertising rather than to trying to decrease the advertising cost. Obviously, some people spend a ridiculous amount of money on ads even if they don't need to, but just a general way of thinking. So you got to ask yourself, what else can you add to your service to increase the value that your customer gets, right? Like not that you get, but that your customer gets, so that I can, increase the lifetime value of my customer. Increase the customer's value first, right? And then, increase your own value. Number two, it's obvious, but, create better ads, right? Like better strategies, better ads. I have to state the fact, right? It's obvious, but if you create better ads, you will have better conversion. I'm going to link a video about how to create the best ads, like the most simple ads, straightforward. Please watch that. Learn how to sell is point number three. And that's super important as well, right? Like the more you can actually convert those leads, right? Because getting leads in a sense is easy. It's just going to be like, okay, well, how much are you willing to pay for a lead, right? How much are you willing to pay for somebody who schedules into your calendar? But if you cannot convert those people, you're gonna struggle, right? But if if you're closing every deal, right? Like if somebody's really good at sales, I don't worry about him, making money in ads, right? The better you get at sales, the higher your overall return on ad spend is going to be. Now, this is big, right? Like this is a big conclusion. If anyone tries to sell you marketing services, like advertising and marketing online is not some magical thing that goes up and down. That's crazy. That's some magic, some woo-woo. Like we're going to make you these ads that, are going to crack the code. Yes, there are some things that you can do. Yes, there are some skills to it, but it's actually a mathematical probability process, right? Like you can map this out mathematically, and most people don't do this, right? And you should map it out. You should actually calculate your scenarios, your base scenarios, so that you can know your expected return and estimate profitability and accordingly, make your budget to that or your investment. So that's 100% how you have to do it. Very easy to do. Nobody does it. I don't know why. If you want more value, follow this channel.